John Milkovich, state senator. Hey, Mr. John, how are you this morning?
Good, Robert and Erin. How are you all?
I am reading from NOLA.com, Times-Picayune in New Orleans. The Louisiana Senate voted 38-1 for a state budget proposal Sunday evening that would fully fund TOPS, blah, 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 blah. We can get into the nuts and bolts of the budget in a couple of minutes, but 38-1. John, you were the one. Tell us why.
Well, Robert and Erin, we campaigned on a platform of cutting wasteful spending, reducing government, and really standing up for the working families, small businesses, and professionals who pay most all of the taxes in Louisiana. It's the people in the middle. People that can't work or won't work aren't paying the taxes. The huge corporations are the amount of taxes they don't pay is shocking. It's surprisingly low, the amount of taxes that they contribute. So that's why we introduced budget amendments, which we did yesterday, to cut more than $290 million of wasteful spending. I voted against the budget, and I voted against $3.5 billion in sales taxes over the next 7 years.
Your idea would be more cuts. Can you give us some ideas of other cuts you think we could make? Obviously,
absolutely.
We don't want to put
Yes.
nursing home patients on the street. We've heard all that from the governor's office, right?
Listen, we identified over $290 million of cuts, and we presented them to the Senate as budget amendments. And by the way, 9 out of the 10 were defeated, but on multiple of the amendments, we got one passed, and most of the other amendments got a number of votes from other senators. But yes, there's cuts that we can make. There is wasteful spending. The nursing homes are getting overpaid. They're overcharging the Louisiana taxpayers through the Medicaid program. They're basically getting paid overpaid on Medicaid patients. They're getting paid a rate that's based upon the higher level of need of the average nursing home population. They're getting paid an excessive rental fee. And also, this time they're getting an inflationary rate adjustment. So the nursing homes are doing very well. They're getting paid over $1 billion. That goes to the nursing home owners. $1 billion just in Medicaid money this year. That's not counting Medicare or private pay. The Department of Education, I keep stressing, this is not teachers in the classroom. This is not brick and mortar for schools. This is not teacher salary. This is a Baton Rouge bureaucracy that spends red tape and bureaucracy in fine print for teachers, and many teachers are really frustrated with them. Their budget is $1.6 billion.
You sound like a Republican this morning.
Well, listen, I think we need to get over this Republican, Democrat, black, white thing. I think we need to go to Baton Rouge, and people need to go to Washington, and we need to go ahead and fight for the people in the middle because they're paying all the taxes, and they've had it. There is some wasteful spending in Baton Rouge. It's not all wasteful spending, but we identified 9 or 10 different areas. I mean, we're getting ripped on the lease with the Bensons. That's a hit on the taxpayers. Department of Education, the nursing homes are really, working the taxpayers up and down the line. I mean, I even introduced a resolution that says, look, I don't think taxpayers should be paying the Louisiana Supreme Court to do lobbying and public relations. I mean, I think it's their job to be judges and issue just decisions. But I don't think we should be subsidizing their lobbying and public relations for a court.
Mr. John, pardon me, John, we had Jay Darden on about 30 or 45 minutes ago, and he basically said that in his mind, i.e. in the governor's mind, that it is totally up to the House of Representatives to make any compromise, that they need to move off of their third of a penny 5-year and head more in, what the bill that passed the Senate, which is the half penny for 7 years. What do you think's going to happen? Is there room for compromise on the House side? Do you see it? And if it came back to you, would you vote for the one that's on the House side right now?
Well, let me say this real quickly to finish my point. Another thing that we said is let's do a hiring freeze in the executive branch. And Senate staff said that would save the taxpayers $165 million. not firing a single person, just saying we're going to let vacant positions stay vacant. That's $165 million. We're not going to grow government. But, you know, I think there is a chance that we will end up getting out of this with the compromise. I'm still reluctant to renew any part of these sales taxes or as much as they're asking for, because I don't want to vote for part of this sales tax to stick around another 5 or 7 years. I think we need to make cuts first. And the 290, by the way, movie tax credits. We love the movie industry, but we're paying $100 million or up to $150 million a year to the movie industry. And analysts say we're receiving 23 cents back return on investment for every dollar we spend. I mean, you know, that we're talking, like I said, $290 million of identifiable cuts, so that we don't, and if we make these cuts in areas that are wasteful, number one, we don't have to cut vital services, and number two, we don't have to keep slamming middle class, working classes, the working class small business people and professionals with more and more taxes.
Speaking of potential deal breakers on the Senate side, the $21 million basically give back, the earned income tax credit is do you see any way that the House of Rep, first of all, to me, for a state that seems to be in such a financial bind, to come up with a $21 million giveaway is sort of strikes me as crazy. But is there any way the House is going to go for that?
I don't, you know, I think they will not. Listen, I voted against that, not because I'm oblivious to the challenges of working people. I feel like that's what I'm here for, is to represent working people. But it's very dangerous when we put the government in the position of being a redistributor of wealth or subsidizing salaries and wages or deciding, you know, how much money the individuals get. When we do that, that is a dangerous step, and I don't want to sound like an alarmist, but that's socialism. And listen, I advocate also for programs that help people in health care, and I've spoken up for several years for university health. But when the government gets into the business of making outright subsidies to people because they should be making more, how about we go ahead and strengthen the private sector?